What if the healthiest drink in your refrigerator, the one you give your grandchildren because you believe it is better than soda, the one on every hospital breakfast tray and every school lunch program, is actually worse for your body than the can of cola you refuse to buy? That is not an exaggeration, nor is it a provocation. It is what the data shows when you stop comparing the two drinks by their marketing and start comparing them by what actually happens inside you when you swallow them. A glass of orange juice, the pure kind, no sugar added, squeezed from real oranges, delivers roughly 22 grams of sugar per 8 ounces. A can of Coca-Cola delivers 26 grams per 8 ounces. The numbers look close, the juice looks slightly better, and the juice looks healthier because it is juice, because it came from a fruit, because a fruit is natural and a soda is manufactured, and the entire cultural logic of what counts as healthy food in the modern world is built on that distinction. But sugar does not care where it came from. Your liver does not care. Your pancreas does not care. Your insulin response does not care. And when researchers actually measure what happens in the body after drinking each beverage, the juice does not win. In several important ways, the juice loses. That is the sentence this entire explanation will earn, but you deserve to know why before you believe it. I want you to hold up your hand and spread your fingers. Imagine each finger is a whole orange. To produce 1/8 ounce glass of orange juice, roughly that many oranges are pressed. 4 to 5 oranges reduced to one swallow. Consider what that means as a matter of simple accounting. You would never sit down and eat 5 oranges in a row. Your stomach would not let you. The fiber would fill you up, the chewing would slow you down, your body would receive the sugar from those oranges across 30 or 40 minutes, buffered by pulp, modulated by the fruit's natural structure. Juice removes all of that. The fiber is discarded, the pulp is strained out. What remains is a concentrated liquid containing the sugar of 5 oranges, with none of the braking mechanism the fruit evolved to carry alongside it. You drink it in 90 seconds. Soda does something similar. It delivers concentrated sugar in liquid form with no fiber to slow absorption. The difference between a soda and a juice at the metabolic level is smaller than the marketing suggests. And in one specific way, the juice may be worse, because the juice contains fructose in a form the liver processes differently than other sugars, and the dose is higher than most people assume. That is the first mechanism. Let me take you deeper, because the biology is specific, and the specifics are where the real story lives. Sugar is not one thing. The word sugar covers a family of molecules, and the two that matter most for this discussion are glucose and fructose. Glucose is the sugar your cells use for energy. Every cell in your body can metabolize glucose. Your muscles, your brain, your heart, your bones. When glucose enters your bloodstream, dozens of tissues share the load of clearing it. Fructose is different. Fructose is metabolized almost entirely in the liver. No other tissue has significant capacity to process it. And the liver, when it receives a large dose of fructose over a short window, does something specific. It converts much of that fructose directly into fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis. A portion of that fat stays in the liver, contributing to what researchers call non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Another portion enters the bloodstream as triglycerides, contributing to the lipid profile that predicts cardiovascular disease. Now here is the calibration that matters. Orange juice is roughly half glucose and half fructose. A 1-2 ounce glass contains about 18 grams of fructose, concentrated in liquid form, delivered to the liver in minutes. Coca-Cola uses high fructose corn syrup, typically around 55% fructose, delivering about 21 grams of fructose in the same volume. The fructose load from juice is meaningfully close to the fructose load from soda. Juice is not sparing your liver. It is not a kinder version of the same problem. It is essentially the same problem, wearing the costume of a fruit. And then there is the satiety question, which is where the economics become visible. Walter Willett and colleagues at Harvard have studied this for decades. Their finding, replicated across multiple large cohort studies, is that liquid sugar calories do not register in the body's hunger system the same way solid food calories do. When you eat 150 calories of whole fruit, your body registers that you have eaten. Your next meal is smaller, your total daily intake adjusts downward. When you drink 150 calories of juice, the compensation does not happen. Your body does not subtract those calories from the next meal. You eat the same amount you would have eaten without the juice, and the juice calories simply add to the total. This is what I mean by economics. A calorie from whole fruit costs your body a corresponding reduction elsewhere. A calorie from juice is nearly free, metabolically speaking, which sounds wonderful until you realize that, over years, free calories accumulate. Juice is cheap, the cost is paid elsewhere, in the liver, in the waistline, in the pancreas working harder than it needed to. Liu and colleagues, in a 2019 analysis published in the journal JAMA Network Open, followed more than 13,000 American adults over roughly 6 years. They found that each additional 1-2 ounce serving of sugary beverages per day, including fruit juice, was associated with measurably higher all-cause mortality risk. Both beverages, in their data, carried similar risk profiles. The paper was careful. It acknowledged observational limits. It acknowledged confounding. But the signal was consistent with what the metabolism predicts. If the body processes juice and soda in comparable ways, we should expect their long-term effects to be comparable, and the data suggests they are. I want to pause on a limitation that honesty requires. Not all studies agree on exactly how equivalent juice and soda are. Some find juice slightly less harmful than soda, particularly when the juice contains meaningful amounts of vitamin C or polyphenols from the fruit skin. Some find them essentially identical. The effect size may be smaller than I have suggested, and some nutrition researchers argue that 100% fruit juice consumed in moderate quantities is likely acceptable for most healthy adults. That position is defensible. It is not the position I am making here, because the data on older adults and on habitual high-volume consumption appears to tell a different story, but the honest reader should know the disagreement exists. No credible study I am aware of shows juice to be significantly healthier than soda in the outcomes that actually affect a human life: weight, triglycerides, liver fat, diabetes risk, mortality. The best available reading is that these two beverages sit in the same metabolic neighborhood. Whether they are on the same street or 2 streets apart depends on the specific juice, the specific person, the specific measurement. What seems clear is that the healthy versus unhealthy framing most people carry, the one that puts juice and soda in different categories entirely, does not match the biology. There is a historical reason the framing persists, and it is worth knowing. In the early 20th century, the California citrus industry faced an oversupply problem. They had too many oranges and not enough buyers. The industry commissioned a marketing campaign that reframed orange juice from an occasional treat into a daily health ritual. Advertisements in the 1920s and 1930s taught American consumers that juice was essential for breakfast, that it delivered vitamins that dried cereal and toast could not, and that a responsible parent served it every morning. The campaign was extraordinarily successful. It embedded a belief in the culture that has survived for almost a century, long after the nutritional science that might have supported it was updated. What we inherited was not medical advice. It was a marketing strategy that outlived its own context. This is the kind of history that matters because it explains why the belief is so emotionally durable. It was never just about nutrition. It became a symbol of being a good parent, a responsible host, a thoughtful consumer. Changing the belief feels like a small betrayal of those meanings. It is not. The meanings can stay. The beverage can change. Consider the person over 60 who has been drinking orange juice every morning for 40 years because their physician mentioned it was a good source of vitamin C in 1987, and because it has always felt like the responsible choice. That person has consumed roughly 14,600 glasses of juice across those decades. The vitamin C was available in a single orange, which cost the body almost nothing. The juice delivered concentrated fructose and glucose every morning across 40 years in a quantity that a human body eating whole fruit would never have received. The fructose load accumulated, the liver processed what it could. The rest became fat, triglycerides, and in some people the slow drift toward metabolic syndrome that so many over 60 adults find themselves diagnosed with without understanding what brought them there. This is not about blame. Nobody chose this knowingly. The advice was wrong, and the advice was given by people who believed it, and the marketing reinforced it. And the result is that millions of people made a daily choice they thought was virtuous, and that was, instead, metabolically expensive. Here is a second layer of the economics, because it is not just about sugar, it is about what the juice displaces. The glass of juice costs about 150 calories. For the same calorie count, you could have eaten 2 whole oranges, or an apple and a handful of almonds, or a bowl of berries with yogurt. Each of those alternatives delivers fiber, which moderates sugar absorption, protein or fat, which triggers satiety, chewing, which signals fullness through a separate neural pathway, vitamins and minerals in their original matrix, which the body absorbs more efficiently than isolated nutrients. The juice delivers none of those. The juice is a caloric transaction with almost nothing on the other side of the ledger. That is what makes it poor in the economic sense. You pay full price. You receive very little in return. Soda is worse in marketing terms, but not necessarily in nutritional terms. A diet soda delivers no calories at all, which means it does not extract the same metabolic cost that juice extracts. I am not recommending diet soda. The research on artificial sweeteners remains mixed, and some findings suggest their own set of concerns. What I am saying is that the hierarchy most people carry in their heads, juice good, soda bad, diet soda worst, is not supported by the evidence. The actual hierarchy, based on metabolic impact, looks something closer to this. Water is best. Whole fruit is excellent. Coffee and tea without added sugar are fine. Fruit juice sits roughly where regular soda sits, with subtle advantages and disadvantages depending on the specific product. Diet soda is worse in some respects, better in others, and remains debated. The simple two-category framing does not survive contact with the data. Picture this as a shopping list in reverse. If your physician told you today to stop drinking soda, you would probably comply, because you have always believed soda was unhealthy. If that same physician told you to stop drinking orange juice, many of you would push back. The juice is natural. The juice has vitamin C. The juice is what you give children. The emotional weight of the two drinks is entirely different, even though the metabolic weight is remarkably similar. This is what the economics reveal. We have been paying a metabolic cost for decades, believing we were getting a bargain because the cultural accounting treated the two beverages as fundamentally different products when they are, for the body, largely the same product in different packaging. So what do you do with this? Because understanding without action is philosophy, and the point of this is change, not contemplation. First, if you currently drink fruit juice daily, try replacing it for 2 weeks. Not with soda, obviously. With whole fruit, with water, with sparkling water and a slice of lemon if you want flavor, with coffee or tea. Eat the orange instead of drinking it. The fiber, the chewing, the slower sugar release, these add up. In the first 3 days, you may notice you are hungrier at breakfast. This is not a malfunction. Your body is registering the absence of the liquid sugar surge it had grown accustomed to. Eat an actual breakfast. Protein, fiber, fat. Your hunger will stabilize within a week. By day 7 to 10, many people report that their morning energy feels steadier. Not higher, steadier. The peak that the juice produced is gone, but so is the crash that followed it. The absence of the crash often goes unnoticed because the crash felt like normal mid-morning fatigue. When it disappears, you realize it was never normal. It was pharmacological. By week 3 to 4, measurable changes may appear. Triglycerides often move down. If you track blood pressure, small reductions are possible. If you have been tracking weight, most people show a modest decrease without any other change, simply from removing the empty calories that juice was contributing. Individual results vary. Some people see no change, others see significant shifts. The variation itself tells you how much juice was affecting the individual metabolism. Second, if you cannot bear to stop, reduce the volume. A 4-ounce glass is half the fructose load of an 8-ounce glass. A 2-ounce glass is a quarter. Dilute it with water. Mix it with sparkling water to extend it. Treat it as a condiment rather than a beverage. The body responds to dose. Reducing the dose reduces the cost. Third, and this is the part that matters for older adults, feed your grandchildren whole fruit rather than juice. The habit forms early. A child who grows up eating oranges rather than drinking orange juice carries that preference forward. You are not depriving them. You are protecting them from the same trap you fell into because the advice you received in 1987 was not based on the biology we now understand, and the advice you pass down should reflect what we have learned. Consider a question that deserves a direct answer. What about fresh pressed juice, the kind that still has pulp, the kind from a farmer's market or a local juicery? This is slightly better. The pulp adds small amounts of fiber, which helps, but the sugar load is the same, and the pulp present in fresh juice is not enough to meaningfully slow absorption. Better than shelf-stable juice from concentrate, still not comparable to whole fruit. The ranking survives, even at the high end of the juice category. What about green juice, vegetable juice, cold pressed juice with lots of kale and spinach? Better, because the sugar content is often lower. But check the label. Many green juices are sweetened with apple or pineapple juice to make them palatable, and the resulting sugar content can be surprisingly high. Read the numbers. If it exceeds 15 grams of sugar per serving, treat it as fruit juice. The point is not to create anxiety around every beverage choice. The point is to correct the specific misclassification that has been quietly costing people their metabolic health for decades. Juice is not a health food. Juice is a sugar delivery system with a halo around it, and the halo is unearned. Think about what tomorrow morning looks like if you take this seriously. You wake up, you walk to the kitchen, the carton of orange juice is in the refrigerator where it has been every morning for years. You reach past it. You take out an orange instead. You peel it slowly. The smell is released. The juice that runs down your hand was always there, but you used to drink it separated from everything that made it a fruit. Now you are eating the fruit whole, the way your body evolved to receive it. This is not deprivation. This is correction. The juice was the deprivation. It deprived you of the fiber, the satiety, the slower absorption, the chewing, the satisfaction of an actual food. The whole orange is the richer choice, economically, metabolically, experientially. The economics, once you see them, are simple. Juice charges a high metabolic price for a small nutritional return. Whole fruit charges almost nothing and delivers almost everything. The body has been keeping the ledger all along, we just were not reading it. Tomorrow morning, skip the juice, eat the orange, feel the difference in your stomach when you are done, the way the fruit fills you in a way the glass never did. That feeling is the correction arriving. That feeling is the economics turning in your favor. The cheapest thing in your kitchen was never the juice.